It's rivalry week, allegedly. We've got some friends in the house tonight. Kyle, let it roll. Yes, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, live in the Game On Wisconsin studios. This is the Marquez Valdez-Scantling Show, brought to you by our friends at Our Tech Ventures. And of course, the goal at Our Tech Ventures is to collaborate closely with founders throughout all the investment and fundraising stages, turning their visions into successful companies. Since 2020, Our Tech Ventures has helped turn great ideas into profitable businesses that make an impact on industries, communities, and beyond. For more information, visit ourtechventures.com. Welcome to the show, everybody. I am your host tonight. I am Jacob Westendorf, as aforementionedly, live in the Game On Wisconsin studios. And I'm joined tonight not by Todd Varney, thank God, not by Jimmy Christensen either, also, thank God, but unfortunately, by he of Cut the BS here in Game On Wisconsin and a lot of other stuff, Dairyland Express, little Packer Report, little sprinkle here or there of a little bit of everything. Brandon Snide with a fresh cut. Brandon, welcome to the show.
I told you, number one, thank you for having me. The introduction was magnificent. I'm excited to be here. Excited to talk some Packers. It's been a while for me. I was under the weather last week, so I'm feeling better. Excited to talk some Packers Bears. Like you said, rivalry week, maybe. I don't know.
Allegedly, that's what they say, at least. But as I have often mentioned, it is not a rivalry if the other team does not win. And that is not exclusive to Bears and Packers. I have said several times that Michigan and Ohio State was not a rivalry for years. I referred to that game as the annual ass kicking that takes place after Thanksgiving. Unfortunately for Dan Kotnick and Trevor Yancey and some other of the Buckeye faithful here at Game On Wisconsin, it was an ass kicking, just not the one we're accustomed to. So nonetheless, the Bears have not won against Green Bay since 2018. The Packers have won the last 5, including 24-17 this year against the Chicago Bears at Soldier Field. This week, not sure what we're going to get, not sure who we're going to get, and we're hoping to get Marquez Valdez-Scantling to talk about this with us tonight. But until then, Brandon, just talk to me. The Packers are favored by 13, and you sent me a message that said it was too high, and shout out to Iowa Joe. I just wanted to tell you it's great to be a Michigan Wolverine.
I agree with Iowa Joe, even though I don't agree with Iowa. I agree with him.
Nonetheless, I will not talk about the Big Ten champions all night, a college football playoff participant. That is the end of my discussion of the Michigan Wolverines. But Brandon, you said 13 was a little high. So what do you think?
I do, Jacob. As soon as I saw Matt Schneidman of The Athletic, he tweeted it out off of some Vegas, whatever. I initially, right away, I saw 13 points, and I was like, that's really high. And I know the Packers are better. They're 9-3. They have the all-pro MVP quarterback, but it just seemed a little high for me.
And that it is. And just to talk about that a little bit, we have the star of our show, and that is a fantastic hoodie. Marquez Valdez-Scantling joining the show. Marquez, welcome. And where did you get that is my first question.
Yeah, sorry about being late. I had a little bit of technical difficulties. I couldn't get into my email from my computer for whatever reason.
No worries at all. We're happy you're here.
This is a FOCO hoodie, reversible. So there's actually 2 sides on the inside. There's a G on the inside as well. So I can flip it inside out. And it's pretty warm because it's 5 degrees outside. So
I got to get one of those, Jacob.
We got to figure out a way now. And it's nice that you got that. Like you said, it's 5 degrees. You said this morning that your dogs, and I know we normally do the Ace and Spade update, but you said this morning they turned around and looked at you like you were stupid.
Yeah, they weren't feeling the cold.
Have they been outside? That's my question.
Yeah, they've been outside. But, I mean, imagine you going outside with no shoes on and 0-degree weather.
I can only imagine. Yeah, I always feel for the dog. Whenever I let mine out, I'm standing right there because then she'll go out, she'll go and do her business real fast, and then she turns right around and comes in. So I open the door that way. So we get there. Let's get into some stuff here going on real quick. The first thing, some news today. Aaron Jones was nominated for the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award. And there was an episode we had earlier where you said something to us along the lines of, you guys must not know Aaron Jones, or you guys don't know Aaron Jones, or something to that effect. Can you just speak to his nomination for me, why he's deserving for that award?
Yeah, I mean, like I said, he's just one of the greatest teammates and just the greatest people to be around in general. And obviously that award nominee is, proof in that pudding. He's just a great teammate, yes sir, no sir to every single person. He treats everybody with respect no matter what the situation is. I've never really seen him upset or angry about anything. He's my next door neighbor, and he's a great friend of mine.
That he is, and it's great to see him get rewarded for that. We've heard that from multiple people and you multiple times this year, so that was good to hear. So let's spin forward a little bit here. We didn't get a chance to talk to you after the Rams game, but a big win for you guys over another contending NFC team. And it really feels like you guys are about to hit your stride on offense. After the game, Aaron, Devontae, a bunch of people were talking about how you guys left points out on the field and you scored 36 of them. So do you feel like you're getting ready to kind of hit that stride on the offensive side of the ball as we get down the stretch of the season here?
Yeah, I mean, obviously we did leave some points out there, and we're still trying to, make up for those lost points. But we're definitely, moving in the right direction. Scoring 30+ points in the last 2 games that we've played. So,
MVS, when you're talking about leaving points on the board, and again, thank you for jumping in to the show this week, and you leave points on the board is what you're talking about. And next week on the schedule, or this coming week, you got the Chicago Bears. Now, when you look at the Chicago Bears and you look at the Green Bay Packers, 2 different teams with 2 different goals. The Bears are, figuring out what they're going to do at the key position going forward with Justin Fields, and the Packers have a Super Bowl aspiration ahead of them.
mhm.
When you go into this week, and no matter what the records are, it's a fight. It's a divisional foe. It's the 204th meeting between the Packers and Bears. Does it feel different on the field as opposed to another opponent?
I mean, not necessarily. Obviously, it's one of those rivalry games, so it's always going to be like that. They're always going to give us their best. Every team gives us their best, no matter who it is. It could be the Lions, or it could be the best team in the NFL. They're always going to give us their best when they come and play the Packers, man. So I think that's just kind of how it is. And obviously they're going to come into our house, with the chip on their shoulder, especially how we've been beating up on them lately. So,
are you expecting any extra after the whistle type plays with what Aaron Rodgers yelled to the crowd, which was a highlight of my year, seeing that live in Chicago last what was it, week 6?
I mean, who knows, to be honest, that's kind of up for them to decide. We're not that kind of team. We don't really do the whole cheap shots and after the whistle thing. We kind of like get our work done in the whistle, but you just never know.
On that note, you mentioned the Lions on the other end of the spectrum. Obviously, is the best team in the NFL. They get their first win on Sunday against the Vikings. I just see the reaction of that team, and they were, they hadn't won a game in a year, stuff like that. Can you just speak to, one, how hard it is to win in the NFL, and 2, why, the internet always says, what's the point of winning? Because then you can get, a better draft pick or better this, better that, whatever the reason is. But you guys, regardless of if you're 10-0 or 0-10, you're always trying to win a game when you go on the field. Can you just kind of speak to that for me a little bit, as you guys are professionals?
Yeah, I mean, who doesn't want to win, man? I don't really know what team, doesn't want to go out there and perform their best. And I think that's kind of how it is, man. We're super competitive. So going out there and just laying down is never going to be a thing, which is why you see, the Lions go out and win a game, because they could have easily say, hey, our season's over with. We have nothing to play for. But, every week you want to go out there and put on your best film, because you just never know who's looking, because every year teams change around and you want to play your best.
You mentioned an opportunity. Oh, go ahead, Brandon.
No, you're good. Go ahead. Yep.
You mentioned an opportunity to keep winning and just kind of be competitive that way. This week with a win and a Vikings loss, you guys clinch the NFC North division. Is that something extra that goes into the game, or do you guys even bother thinking about that at all?
Nah, I mean, obviously, our goal is to always win the North. So, we're not, necessarily thinking about it, but it's a goal that we, set at the beginning of the year. It's our first goal every year is to win our division because that guarantees, a playoff spot and a playoff spot at home. And if we can get that thing to run through Lambeau, we got a pretty good chance of making it all the way. So, it's always in the back of our minds, but it's not like, oh yeah, this is the game that's gonna, determine our future.
Backing up just a week, MVS, I want to talk to you about your bye week. I saw you were down in Florida over the bye week. Did you enjoy a little bit of time away from Green Bay? Enjoy some of that sunshine and water?
Yeah, man, and I was just found myself kind of laying in the grass at times, just staring at the sun. So you don't really get that too often down here. So
And then you come up and you're back into the swing of things, and it's, what was it, -1 degrees up in Green Bay this morning?
yeah, man, definitely wasn't what I was expecting. Getting off that plane and seeing the whole ground filled with snow, and then the next day it's like 0 degrees. So
So speaking of that bye week, and this is like a third part of one question, and apologize if it's a little bit too much, but when you look at the bye week for a casual fan, for like myself, what does a player do during a bye week? Obviously, you're stepping away, you're going down to Florida, you're going spend some time with family, you're sniffing others, stuff like that. Do teams make a lot of changes during the bye week? Is it a lot of self scouting? Could you speak a little bit about what a bye week looks like?
I mean, for players, guys are trying to get away and not really focus on football. They might go back in and look through film and see what they've been doing well and whatnot. I think the staff really kind of focuses on, self scout and seeing what we've been doing well, what we can improve on. I think that's kind of where the staff kind of focuses on during that time. But for players, it's kind of we want to get away and, you know, regroup and recharge, especially when we have a late one like that.
Yeah.
And as you get back, the calendars turn to December, and that's when championship football starts to get played December, January, and hopefully for you guys into February. I don't know if you know this, but since Coach LaFleur took over, you guys have never lost a game in December. So does he do anything different from previous coaches that you've been under to kind of get you guys to peak at the right time, or has that just been you guys are really good and playing really well at the right time of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we don't do anything different, believe it or not, from week 1 to, week 17. We pretty much are identical to what we do, week in and week out, no matter what year it is. If it was year 1 or year 3, we're kind of having the same schedule. And I think it's just we just know how serious it is. And I mean, obviously, every game is serious, but we know how each one of these games is almost like playoff football, essentially, because it is. And it determines a lot for the rest of the playoffs. So, each one is far more important than the last. And I think that's just kind of how we approach it.
And speaking of questions, feel free to get your questions into our chat over here. We'll get them at the end of the show and a chance for you to win a lakefront gift card, brewery tour and gift card. So $50 for that, for the best question and comment. So feel free to get those in today. You mentioned the playoffs earlier. You mentioned the number 1 seed and trying to get that road to come through Lambeau. Now, I know you've mentioned more than once you don't like the cold, but do you like the idea of every playoff game being played at Lambeau Field?
Yeah, I mean, obviously, not having to get on the plane and travel is always ideal, especially playing at home and having that home field advantage. Obviously, when we go on the road, we travel really well, but you just can't replace playing in Lambeau. So, as much as I hate the cold, I'd rather them come to us than, go to, whoever's in first place, whether it's, whoever, Arizona or whatever.
And your last game was like the marquee game on the schedule, right? So at the beginning of the year, you kind of circle that Rams game and look at that as like those could be 2 teams toward the top of the conference. Last year, you guys had playoff game against them. You guys had a big game, obviously, against Tampa Bay the week prior, but it was 10,000 people. Well, they said it was 10,000 people. It felt like 15 or 20 when you were walking through the stadium. But what is the thought? What's the difference between that and having, almost 80,000 people like you guys had in the stadium 2 weeks ago?
I mean, obviously, more fans, louder, makes it harder for the other team to go out and compete against us. But playing in front of a full Lambeau is one of a kind, man. There's not many stadiums that are like that, and I think that's kind of the thing that we got. Not many fans can come in there from opposite teams and say they got more fans than us. We can travel to other teams and be a 50-50 split, half the time. So, you don't really have that in Lambeau. So anytime we got a home game, we really got a home game.
MVS, when you're talking about Lambeau Field, and for me, I'm biased and I hate every other team and I love the Packers. There's obviously something special about it. When you go to other places, Chicago is a historic stadium. There's others throughout the league. What separates Lambeau Field versus those other places?
The people, man. They're just diehard fans, and I think that's kind of what it is. They are real life, man. Like no matter what the temperature is, if it's -20, they're out there, and they're supporting. You'll turn on some games around the league, and you might be raining, and you don't see any fans, in the stands because the weather's bad or it's cold. You watched the Buffalo game last night, and we have that kind of temperature. Doesn't matter. We're gonna have that thing filled up with people. So I think that's just kind of the difference. We got the best fan base in the National Football League.
So you're not surprised you're not surprised when you go to like Jacksonville or Cincinnati and it's more of a home game than away game. That's expected almost.
Yeah, even when we went to Arizona and they're the number one team, it was a 50-50 split. We'll score a touchdown and you hear our "Go Pack Go" chants. So
be honest though, are you judging people in the stands when you see them and it's that cold and they're not wearing a shirt?
No, it's not really a thought on my mind. Maybe when I see a picture or something, but not really in the game. I'm not really thinking about, I know that guy's cold because I'm cold. So
understandable. So we talked about the playoff. I do want to move one thing. So bowl games, it's about that time of year in college. They've been made out to be a little less important with the insertion of that playoff system. Do you feel that way? They didn't have the college football play. Well, no, it was a new thing when you were in college. But do you feel like those games are less important than maybe they used to be?
I mean, I think any opportunity you can to showcase your ability is important. And, one thing that like people kind of take for granted is, having the opportunity to go out and play football, man, because it's not guaranteed. And, some guys sit out or whatever. But, at the end of the day, when those guys sit out, the next year, the guys who played in the bowl game are still going to be there. So, it's just another opportunity for those guys to get some reps and still play. I was actually having this argument the other day with Kenny Clark in the locker room because he was saying that Cincinnati doesn't deserve to be in the college football playoffs. And I'm just like, how? And he was like, oh, because the year before, I think Georgia played Cincinnati in the bowl game or
Sugar
something.
Bowl, yeah.
And Cincinnati beat them. And I was like, I mean, those same guys that were on the team before are on the team now, so what's the difference? So it didn't make sense. He was like, oh yeah, they didn't play out their players. I'm like, well, they're playing now. So what's the difference? Like that's why you recruit guys, because when one guy doesn't play, another guy has to play. So
now on that note, then, do you think does Cincinnati or anybody have a shot of beating Alabama?
Yeah, I mean, it's any given Saturday, just like any given Sunday. You see the week before, Alabama and Auburn went into 4 overtimes. They barely won that game. If they have a little better clock management, we're not even talking about Alabama right now. It's a different thing. So any given Saturday, anybody can lose, man.
Shout out to Rhino Alberts for that saying right there. So let's transition. We were talking a little NBA the last time you were here. Steph Curry is 18 3-pointers away from breaking Ray Allen's all-time record for regular season 3-point shots made. They play tomorrow night. Can he break that record tomorrow night?
I don't think he can break it in one game. I mean, if he hits 23s in a game, man, it's impressive. So
they need to move the 3-point line back. They might need to do that anyways, but if he makes 20 in one game, they might need to move it back next week.
Yeah, that's a bit absurd, to be honest.
It's the only thing. It's the only thing he does good. So he has a chance.
Don't know about that one.
I got one for you, MVS, because I listened to you on the show a couple months ago, and I wanted, I live in Milwaukee. I'm a big, diehard Milwaukee Bucks fan. Giannis is like my favorite athlete ever. If you had to start a franchise tomorrow, you're the owner, the GM, you're in charge of everything. Right now, currently, what player are you taking?
Like right now,
like currently, like today. Like LeBron, LeBron's 36 or, Steph Curry's whatever, everybody that's playing right now. Who's MVS taking?
It would either be Steph Curry or Kevin Durant.
Watch Brandon's blood boil. Go ahead, Brandon. Go ahead.
MVS, let's talk, man. Me and you, let's talk about this.
I'm all ears.
Why? and I'm just having just a little bit of fun, but I'm biased. I think Giannis is the best player in the NBA because he does everything. He can score as much as Kevin Durant, and that's shown Game 6 of the NBA Finals. He plays defense better than arguably any of the top players in the NBA right now. He's a facilitator. He averages 6 assists a game. Why those guys over maybe Giannis? And I'm completely biased, so don't take offense to it.
No, I mean I get it. Well, I think obviously you can't replicate what Steph Curry does. Obviously as a true point guard, he can still score 30 points and he plays really good defense on your best, ball carrier or ball handler.
Yep.
And then threes beat twos, no matter what you say. You've got a guy who can change the game with 3-pointers. You can get Giannis to the free throw line and the game might not go the same. And Steph Curry's a 90% free throw shooter. So that's obviously, a difference there. And then Kevin Durant is probably the most gifted basketball player to ever play.
Yeah, I agree with that. Yeah.
There's not many 7'3" guys who can dribble a basketball and do what he does and shoot over anybody. And not take anything from Giannis. Giannis is a great player. I watched him play live a few times. And he's very, very talented, but he's very one-dimensional. So if you can find a way to stop that, you kind of find a way to stop their whole offense. And we see that a lot. That's why they're struggling now. And if you don't have really good shooters around him, it makes it really difficult. That's why they were so good last year, because they were able to, get some shooters around him, constantly be able to knock down threes. So
I would beg to differ that he's one-dimensional. He's over 30% from 3-point range this year, which is actually better than Kevin Durant currently. And defensively, I think is where he pushes the needle for me. That block in Game 5 against DeAndre Ayton, Steph Curry, he's not doing anything about that. Kevin Durant don't play defense.
I wouldn't say Kevin Durant played.
Yeah.
It's below average though. Right? Would you agree with that?
No. Kevin Durant's actually a really good defender.
Yeah, he's not Giannis though.
Yeah, there's not many Giannis's, but other than he doesn't play defense, I think he's actually a really, really good defender.
So you were talking about being at a Bucks game, and I was actually at one of the games that you were at last year. What are your thoughts on the Pfizer Forum and Deer District? I was there at Game 6, 100,000 people outside MVS watching that game. Your thoughts, you're playing in the same state as that is. Does Lambeau Field need their own version of the Deer District?
No, I think we do a really good job. It was really, lit in there, honestly. But obviously when you play inside of a indoor arena, it's always going to sound a lot louder than it is. So I think obviously if we put a dome on top of Lambeau, it'd be a different environment as well, because the noise can't escape anywhere. But Lambeau gets pretty loud too. So
that it does. So the NBA talk is how we get some blood boiling on this conversation. So I appreciate the back and forth, you guys. That was pretty good. So we've got time for one fan question. Apologize. The Steph Curry, Kevin Durant, Giannis talk got us to go a little bit longer.
Sorry, MVS.
Than that. So from my friend and our friend Lambo Labo, also known as Ben, is asking, since Kenny is so good at being big, those are your words, do you think he should be able to survive the cold?
You can hibernate and probably make it last. Hibernate and probably he'll last.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, Marquez Valdes-Scantling, big week this week against Chicago. Looking forward to a big game for you. Enjoy that nice little hoodie thing you got going there. Stay warm as much as you can, and I look forward to seeing you without the sleeves on Sunday night, because I know that'll piss you off when the game actually starts.
Nah, it's all good.
Marquez Valdes-Scantling, follow him on Twitter at MVS_11. Check out his merchandise, 6selection.com. Marquez, thanks for coming. We look forward to seeing you next week, hopefully as an NFC North champion.
Peace out, fellas.
Marquez Valdes-Scantling, number 83 on the field. Brandon, not happy. Go ahead and
I'm not, because he's not one-dimensional. He's just not.
I will say this because
he gets so disrespected, and that that is not, I'm not calling MVS disrespectful, but it's the media as well. Like Giannis, if you watch, I mean, he says they're struggling right now. They're 11-0 with the big three in Milwaukee. They're 15 and I think 8. They're number 3 in the East and in the Eastern Conference. They're not struggling. He dropped 50 points.
To be fair, they were
he dropped 50 points in Game 6, something that I don't even know if Michael Jordan did that. And he went 17 of 19.
We're not putting those two in the same sentence.
No, you're right, because one's better than the other, and his name's
Giannis. Michael is the best that's ever played. Let's just call him. And I'm not even a Bulls fan, so
I'm not either. He is better, but I think Giannis will eventually.
We got a long way to go before Giannis can be in that conversation with Michael. This is what I'll say, since nobody asked me for my NBA opinions. The best player in the history of the league is Monte Ellis. So I've got to throw that. No, I'm kidding. But that is a long-standing joke. Monte Ellis and J.R. Smith, those are the two best players that I've ever played, with Deshaun Stevenson a close third, if those are the two at the top. But no, in all seriousness, coming into the year, I would have told you that you could have a discussion with me about 4 players. You guys mentioned 3 of them, and the 4th, of course, is LeBron James. Any of those 4 guys, I'll listen as the best player. And why I don't like those conversations is because it feels like you almost have to nitpick each of them, because Giannis plays a different style of basketball than what Kevin Durant does, obviously. And then they both play different than Steph and all that good stuff too. But it was interesting to listen to that. So we're running towards the end of time here. A chance for a $50 gift card right here. So Kyle, we're going to talk about MVS's stat line. And in the meantime, you are going to pick a winner here in the background. But Brandon, Packers-Bears Sunday night. What do you think MVS's stat line is going to be?
I think this is a big game for him. I think it is. I think he outside of that Minnesota game, he's been on the cusp of big games kind of in the last few weeks. Obviously, Minnesota game, he blew up and with a 75-yard touchdown. I think this week, the Chicago secondary is questionable. Eddie Jackson is struggling this year. Jalen Johnson is probably going to be matched up with Devontae Adams. I'm going to go with 4 for 102 and a score.
4 for 102 and a score. I will go 3 for 78 and a score. And we have our winner for the Lakefront Brewery gift card. So Kyle, if you want to throw that question up for us, Jack Firestein was asking, without 12 in practice much lately, do you miss those reps with Aaron that strengthened your teammates' connection and positive energy building into game day? Jack, apologize that we were not able to get to that question while MVS was here.
Question.
But that's a really good question, and one that I actually am going to save for next week's show when the Packers are getting ready to take on the Baltimore Ravens. So Jack, if you want, feel free. You could send me a direct message at my Twitter handle, which is behind this question right now, right there. And otherwise, you can send it to Game On Wisconsin at Game On WI to get me your shipping information, and we will send you that gift card. So congratulations, Jack. Good news for you guys. You'll have more chances to win gift cards like that. Lombardi's Bar is giving one away. The Freezer Podcast will give one away. And, of course, we'll have Open Book giving one away. And Brandon's going to give one away here in the near future as well. So
not to anybody that says KD's better though. Not happening.
I was going to say, if you want to get it rigged, tell him how Giannis is the best player that's ever existed and walks on water and died on the cross and rose 3 days later and all those good things. Then I think
it's fair.
You guys will win that. But we're out of time for tonight's show. I want to thank our sponsors again, Artec Ventures, Lakefront Brewery, and of course, my friends here, Iowa Legendary Rye. If the Packers have a rough day, or if you're an Iowa Hawkeye fan like my friend Iowa Joe and struggling through Saturday night's game, pop open this bottle of whiskey and it will ease all of your pain. Tomorrow night, Lombardi's Bar will be live at 7:30, and at 8:45, Open Book will be live with Bear Killer, not Randall Cobb. Tom Crabtree will be live with the boys and girls from Open Book tomorrow, or as I like to call it, the show where we put all of the beautiful people and Andrew Mertens in the background. There's a reason we keep him behind the screen for that. Until then, next time, we'll see you guys next week. Check us out, Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram. And if you like my shirt, this is a Game On Wisconsin pullover. You have an opportunity to buy those. Order tomorrow to guarantee in time for Christmas. We got all kinds of stuff there. Thank you to Dakota Mitchell. And we have stuff from all your favorite shows. Freezer, Lombardi's Bar, Open Book, Cut the BS. You want something like that for all of it? Check that out. Hit that button, order a couple things, get it here just in time for Christmas. But we're out of time for this week. Next week, we'll see you with MVS again, hopefully as an NFC North champion. I'm Jacob Westendorf. That's Brandon Snide. We'll see you guys next week. Kyle, take us home.